Hey guys, I'm Doug.
And I'm Pat.
Thanks for coming back to the Doug and Pat Show, Nashville Road Trip Part 2, where we're going to talk about mainly music stores. Pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, a couple of them there that are pretty darn nice places. Lots of inventory, lots of vintage stuff.
Really amazing. We're sort of comparing it here to Portland, where we live. That's Portland, Oregon. No, it's Oregon. That's
Oregon.
I got to expose the fact that I'm from New York or something. Yeah, so Portland has a population of about, according to the latest census, is about 2 million. That covers this huge area that I'm probably showing with a map right now. Nashville has a population of the latest census of about 1.3 million. So to give you an idea, or give us an idea of what kind of musical activity is going on in Nashville, given that size of that city, we don't have anything music store-wise that even comes close to any one of these music stores we're going to talk about. And yet they have, what's that called? Music Store Row or something?
Something like that, Music Row, yeah. Yeah, they, and in the same note, we just don't have the venues here to play.
No.
And so...
No.
And a lot of the places that were around pre-COVID are no longer there. So Nashville's happening.
It's happening.
I mean, it's definitely, if you're into music, it's a place to be.
It definitely is. All kinds of music, not just country music, but all kinds of music. It's so happening. Not just on Broadway Street either, which is this large stretch that has all these clubs in it. Reminded me that most of, kind of like New Orleans, Bourbon Street, maybe about 20 years ago, before they got really loud and extra, rackety. Yeah, so they have a huge music scene there, and the music stores are probably a reflection of that.
And Taylor Swift lives there.
That's really what this show is really about, isn't it, Pat?
Yep.
We're going to have Taylor Swift on today? She didn't show up again, just like you know who.
But she did call.
Oh man,
She left a message, and that's. She said she would love to, and next time she's in Portland, she will.
We got that going for us.
Get a hold of Doug and Pat.
That's fabulous.
That's right.
Carter's Vintage. Is that what it's called? Carter's Vintage?
Mm-hmm.
So you were there 5 years ago?
5 or 6 years ago, yeah. Just pre-COVID.
Any differences of what it was like when we were just there?
The inventory was a lot larger back then. And a lot of amplifiers then, not so many now. A lot more vintage guitars at that time, too. So I don't know what's going on with them, but, they seem to be kind of the place to go for good used guitars, and they did have the one room with acoustic guitars, some high-end stuff that was pretty cool.
Yeah, which fortunately we got into, considering we're not the buying public. You work here?
No, I'm here shoplifting.
I'd like a discount,
Okay.
and I got a trade in.
And what is it you have to trade?
I don't know, what's in your car?
Not much.
100-watt Marshall?
To fix you up.
I want to trade it.
Okay. For what?
I want a banjo.
Okay.
When you were there 5 years ago, was it still owned by the Carter family?
Yes.
But it's not owned by the Carter family anymore.
I don't believe so.
I don't think so. But you said something about that the Carter family would be there from time to time and still working in the store.
Yep.
Yeah. So we just walked around with the camera, and then we got in and got to talk to Henry, who's this young guy in that nice room showing some great guitars. Here he is right now with this Martin.
Yeah. So
What is your name?
my name's Henry.
Henry, you own this store?
I do not. Nope. I'm just a guy.
We can pull some favors in, and we could work it out so you'd become an owner here, which some of you'd like.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, because we've got some junky guitars in the car, and we want to audition you for being the owner of the new store. Just kidding. Well, we do have a 100-watt Marshall, but probably not your style.
Yeah, pretty good picker.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pretty good pickers in Nashville.
There are a few. Yeah, so they had a lot of Telecasters. They had, pretty fair sampling of electrics, but I guess they used to have a lot more.
Yes. Yes.
Great store. So you have to go there. It's not that far away from the second store we're going to talk about, which is going to be a really, really huge one, which is Gruhn's. Pat had the opportunity 5 years ago also to go to Gruhn's and spend, how long did you spend with George
Just
Gruhn
most of the day. Lunch,
Was he buying? Not that day.
No, but we got a big discount.
Oh,
That's right.
That's great.
Right. Musicians discount.
Yeah.
That's a 20%.
So we look forward to, or I did, meeting George Gruhn. So we went there, and how many? It's 3 floors.
3 floors, yeah. Yeah. I think the first floor is just mainly the retail. Second floor is not only retail, it's got George's office and some high-end stuff, acoustics and different things, and mandolins and snakes.
George's Snakes.
George's snakes. And
Yeah. Here's some pictures of George's Snakes. This is like a small sampling. How many snakes do you think? He said something like that.
He
25
did say,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third floor is, I think, mostly where the repairs are done. And there were, when I was there back then, several little small offices with repair guys doing different things. So
Yeah. If you have watched Tom Bukovac's show, he has some really great.
who?
I'm sorry, Uncle Larry.
Uncle. Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry. I mean Starship Trooper.
You mean Uke?
No, I mean Little Tommy.
Book.
He has a lot of shows that he's done at Gruhn's, and he obviously does a lot of trading and buying and selling there.
He's a pretty good picker himself.
He's a pretty good picker.
He does.
He's pretty good.
plays
He
real
actually
good.
might even be a surprise guest on this
What do you think?
episode. We don't know. We don't know yet because we haven't made it up yet.
Is he coming to Portland soon?
he called, left a message.
Okay. Oh, he's going to come with Taylor.
I didn't say that.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, Kelsey might have a little bit of a problem with that. I hear he's a jealous man.
No. Well.
Yeah. My wife follows all their little episodes. She spent the night.
Oh,
They're
no.
kissing. Oh,
No.
sinful.
No.
It's horrible. I shouldn't have said that. We probably have children watching this. Yeah, so you probably have seen some of the people on Bukovac's show. Corey, the guy that works one of the guys that works in the retail, and Greg, one of the repair guys there. So this is a copy of the Guitar Player magazine from the early 80s. Actually, I think I'll go get it.
That might help.
Shut up. I met Uncle Larry. That goes back to September 1982.
Wow.
Has Andy Summers on the front of it. And at the time on Guitar Player, they had one of the columns was Rare Bird, featuring none other than George Gruhn. So I took this with me and I asked George to sign it, which he did right there. You also noticed that he has some drawing stuff that he had done. He's really into that. He designed the logo of Gruhn's store. This is the one that's outside of the store, which is pretty cool. And there's a sculpture, and then there's another one that is painted on the side.
Mm-hmm.
We met up with George, and also I wanted to ask him about this old Martin I have, because he is probably one of the top 2 or 3 guys in the world that knows so much about these things. Here's the guitar. This is a Martin Parlor guitar. It's a New York Martin because it says New York inside of it. They said New York in them until 1892. So the guitar was made before that. It's called Parlor. It's small. Brazilian rosewood. Pretty cool. And I didn't take the guitar with us, but I took pictures, and we got to sit down with George so he could take a look at it and talk about it. So that was pretty fun.
What year was this?
He was not specific because it had no markings on it in particular, but probably somewhere around late 1870s to maybe 1880s.
Wow.
Somewhere right around in there. After a certain point in time, I guess they always put the date underneath the top, but this doesn't have the date in it, so it's earlier than that. Hey, he had the biggest cat I've seen in a while.
A big fat cat.
When that cat jumped up on the table, I thought it was going to buckle.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, didn't he say it weighed 30 pounds, 35 pounds, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big cat.
Very friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm running some video right now of this cat jumping up there and putting his butt up in there.
Oh, great.
George also did some designing for Guild back in the day, which ended up with these guitars that say Gruen on them, and some of them are displays or prototypes that are around the store. And this one prototype that has Gretsch pickups on it, but it ended up being a Guild Bluesbird, I guess.
Yeah.
Really cool. It looks a little different than a Bluesbird, and I think we asked them about if those instruments were going to be for sale at some point. I guess maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Yeah, they're cool. I think they were all hollow body. They kind of like and some of them had F holes, but others had an F hole type of thing.
Yeah.
That weren't quite F holes, but
Yeah, they were cool.
Neat guitars.
Yeah.
Guitars. George, we'd like to have one.
Yes, we would like to have a couple of them because I think it's only fair. We did go to you, so
Yeah. Give one to Taylor and have her bring it.
yeah, or to the one that shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
More about that a little bit later on. So, if you get to Nashville, you absolutely have to make it to Gruen's, just like you have to make it to the rest of them. Easy to do. They had, here's a shot of a row of guitars that were on the second floor up there. We got a blonde, I think it was a 59 335, and an Esquire, and some really, really cool stuff. Lots of acoustic guitars, and new guitars too.
Yeah.
Amps, all kinds of stuff. Rumbleseat Music. They have their only store now located in Nashville. They used to have a store in
Carmel,
which we went to on the first road trip that we did about 7 or 8 years ago. And then he had a store, where else?
He said he had one in Albuquerque at one time and one in New York. So at least those are the ones I remember that he talked about.
Right.
And
So we got to meet up with Elliot, who's the owner of the store, and kind of sit down and talk to him about his history of the stores that he had, relating to what it was like maybe in the 70s when he started, to what it's like now, being one of the big music stores in Nashville, Tennessee. His store physically is much smaller than Gruen's. It's one level, but it's packed with cool stuff.
real cool
It
stuff.
had 2 bursts that were there, and a gold top with humbuckings. There's a couple specials. It had a special, 2 specials, or was one a TV?
Yeah, I think a couple were just specials, but he also had some really cool Rickenbacker amplifiers.
Oh,
That's
yeah, extremely rare, and used by Jimmy Page, I guess.
yeah.
Not that those were, but that he used to use those.
Yeah. Elliot was quite a guitar player back in the day, and probably still is.
Yeah,
You know, he's a New York kind of rock and roll guy.
he definitely is that. He's the skinniest guy. I thought he was going to drop dead. But he's super nice. It was such a great discussion with him. In the room that we were in for the interview, I was looking at the wall of instruments, and there were 2 Gretsch guitars on the wall. And one of them was a Country Club in blonde that I'm showing pictures of. And the other one was a 6120 Chet Atkins model from 67. I was looking at those, and I don't have a Gretsch. I've never had a Gretsch. You have, because you've had them over here, but I've never had it. And I was looking at those, I go, man, I'd sure like to have that 6120. So I've been thinking about it. And we get back home, and the next Bukovac show, he's playing it.
Jeez, how did that make you feel?
Well, it made me feel like,
Yeah, I'll bet.
So we had exchanged some texts with Bukovac, thanking each other for the shows that we did, and then I asked him, that 6120, by any chance, was that the one that Elliot had in the store? And he was brief, because I said, I had my eye on that guitar. And he goes, that's the one. I go, okay. Yeah, so, but I do know this, is that Bukovac gets off guitars pretty regularly.
He does.
It's waiting for me.
He does.
And because he's so kind and benevolent.
He'll probably just give it to you.
That's what I'm thinking.
Just, old time's sake.
Yeah.
I bet he doesn't.
I bet he doesn't either. We had to say it, though. We had to offer something.
Yeah. Oh, you put that bug in his ear.
Yeah.
The,
Maybe everyone's thinking that.
Yeah.
They go, hey, did you see the Doug and Pat show? And Doug mentioned that maybe Uncle Larry should give that 6120 to Doug because of their
Larry
newfound friendship.
Uncle Larry is the kindest guy in Nashville. And
he's got a big heart.
A big heart.
Big heart.
Yeah.
Big fat wallet too, maybe.
Nice guy and drinks beer and likes ham.
And old cars.
Old cars. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a picture of you in this old car.
In his old car?
Yeah.
Was I in his old car?
Yes, you were.
Oh. Yeah, I was.
You was.
I was. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
I'm under a lot of stress.
A couple of weeks, anyway.
Couple weeks. How long have you known him?
20 minutes?
Really?
Yeah.
I've known him less.
Really?
Did he borrow money from you too?
He did.
Yeah. Pat, how long have you known Elliot?
I feel like I've known him a lifetime.
When did you have your first music store? And where?
Ithaca, New York, 1992.
And then you've had, obviously, them a variety of places.
What I did was I opened one in Brooklyn, New York. So I had Ithaca, Brooklyn, and then we moved. We bought a house in New Mexico, and we had 2 stores in New Mexico.
Whereabouts in New Mexico?
One in Albuquerque and one in Santa Fe.
Oh, yeah.
But the one in Santa Fe was it was a vintage guitar store, Native American art, and antiques.
Yeah, we love Santa Fe.
And what year was that?
That was about 10, 11 years ago, whatever year that was.
Yeah.
I know.
Quick.
Were you involved in vintage guitars, I guess we'd say, before you had your store?
Used guitars.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, not being able to, I come from a poor family, so not being able to buy guitars, there was a paper that came out in New York. It was called the Bylines. It come out every Thursday morning. What I would do is go look at that and see what was $10 and try to buy a guitar, second-hand guitar, and then play it for a few months and then sell it for 15. Play that, sell it, and keep doing that. That kept me into a point where I was able to buy guitars. But then my brother's friend had a 59 Les Paul. But he decided he didn't want to play guitar anymore. So we slid over, my brother and I slid over his house, and this young kid sitting there, said, "Do you still have that guitar?" And he went, "Yeah, I do. It's in the closet, but I don't play anymore." I went, "Would you ever think about selling it?" And he said, "Yeah, you know what? I play flute now, and I would need $300 if I sold it."
What year was that?
That had to be 72,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. 300 though in 72 was still pretty cheap, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there were probably at that point, I'm gonna say 1,200,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
12 to 1,500.
That's right on. That's right when I got mine. 300.
300 bucks.
And they were going for 12 to 15 in Portland area.
Right. See, but what happened to mine? I was playing in a band with, do you know Mark Bell, Ramone's drummer?
Mm-hmm.
Marky Ramone.
I mean, I don't know him, but I know that.
All right, so Mark was my drummer. This guy Rick Prince was my singer. Kenny Harrison was my bass player.
Yes.
And I can't remember the drummer, but Mark. I'm talking about. Mark and the singer was having a fight,
You're right.
and Mark threw the cymbal at the singer. The top of the headset got clicked off. Yeah. So
Great.
while it happened, we were auditioning for Kamasutra Records at that point, and it was either us or Kiss. So I had to run to 48th Street. I went up there. I said, "Can you fix this guitar?" And, what's his face? I can't think of his name right now, of course. My buddy in New York. He came down with a 58 that was missing a pickguard and changed tunes. He said, "I'll trade you straight up." And, you know, me being a player and not really caring about it, it was a beautiful, great guitar. I took that, went back to rehearsal. We rehearsed. We didn't get the audition. Obviously, Kiss became the big one. But that guitar was fixed by Rudy. It was fixed by Rudy, and Rudy sold it to Clapton about 6 months later. So that guitar had that little history about it.
Dang.
Yeah. So to answer your question, yes, I always loved used old vintage guitars.
Yeah, and so in the day when you were starting to do that, like you used the term used guitars, I think that's, I mean, you know, that's what they were.
Yeah.
I don't think that there was really, I mean, well, I'm not going to make that statement, but when do you think, but in your memory, that they stopped being just used guitars and people started looking for them, particular guitars that were desirable, as in not used, but like, oh, we want that?
70s. I'm thinking in the mid-70s. Because I remember I was part of that whole New York scene in the 70s, and then what we did is a lot of us moved to London after that. And I just remember everybody like wanting a cool guitar. Like Johnny Thunders had, you know, TV Juniors. Binky Phillips had a 59 Les Paul. I had a 59 Les Paul. Everybody wanted those guitars because they played so good. And all the new stuff that was coming out in 68, 69 really it was okay back then. But a 50s guitar just played and sounded better. And they were cheaper.
I know. Yeah, I know. The reason I ask that question is because I think that like a lot of younger people, when I say younger, which is pretty much anybody now that's younger than we are, but they think that this collectability thing's been going on forever and ever and ever. They can't even imagine a time that where someone will be playing a 59 burst in a club. Right. It's like we have a picture that we had where we're both playing them in a sleazy rock club someplace. And yeah, you know, they were a bit more money, but they weren't like your house.
No, they weren't. No. But if you really look at it, and I hate comparing, but if you really look at it, and you look at an orchestra, and you look at what like an oboe or a cello or a Stradivarius violin, why is a Stradivarius violin $10 million? Why is an oboe or cello, a really good one, 20, 30, 50, 100,000 or more? A guitar, like a burst, to me is the same quality as one of those instruments. As a guitar player, and you guys are guitar players, you want to feel it and hear it. And those guitars do it for you.
Yeah. And also they look cool, which was, we just thought was just like a really, it made the choice so obvious because not only does it play and sound great, but they look great.
Great. And all our heroes back then.
Yeah.
You know, I remember going to see Free, and you know, Paul Carson was playing one. Going to see Jeff Beck, he was playing one. I mean, the list goes on. Mike Bloomfield was playing one. And you, just being a young kid, you were looking at that and going, these guys are so cool, and they sound so good.
They sound so great.
Yeah, and you go, I want to be like those guys. I want to have that kind of guitar.
Yeah. Would you say that you were probably looking for them mainly because they sounded like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, us too. And it was that because it was the way that they sounded, and like I said before, the bonus was that they look great. Like Pat's early '60s just got the most beautiful even curl.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to it's hard to see a curl like that. Like that's why this is nice because this actually the curl to it actually looks like the way that old ones would look. Too many new ones, they just go over the top.
Yeah. See, and the funny thing about that, when you look at that guitar and you see the double whites, right? Well, when I saw the Jeff Beck group, I tried to figure out what the hell. I thought he had 2 Telecaster pickups in there. I was trying to figure out what the hell is it? Because I've never seen that before. And it blew my mind. And it actually sounds better when you take the the cover off.
Yeah.
So then, when you started your first music store, what were you doing? Used guitars, as we say, used guitars.
What I was actually doing, reality of it all, I just came off the road in '90. So just on a side thing, I would upstate New York, I would drive around and see, find guitars, and then get to a point. Back then, I was making $5 an hour painting houses. So I'd save up the money, buy some guitars, drive to a guitar show, sleep in my van, sell a couple guitars, get a hotel room, buy some other guitars, and then come back home and do that. And back then, when you have an ad in Vintage Guitar Magazine,
Yeah.
and somebody call you and go, hey, first of all, the magazine wouldn't get to them for 2-3 weeks, and then they would call you and go, I'm interested in that guitar you have. So you'd have to take your Kodak camera, take a picture of it, go have it developed, get it developed, take it back, mail the person in California or wherever,
Yeah.
and that takes another 7 days, and then go, okay, I got the guitar, the picture, I'd like to buy the guitar. Oh, sorry, it's been sold.
Gone.
Right.
I'm curious as to how I knew you've had stores all over different places. Why'd you pick Nashville? Because you're appeared to be more rock and roll Marshalls, and I mean, this is a rock guitar player's heaven, and we associate it, or I do anyway, with more country music and all of that, as opposed to like the shops up and down the street. So,
Right.
It seems to me like New York would be the better place, or Los Angeles for your type of shop.
True, but not true. Because Nashville, realistically, if you really look around Nashville, and when we picked it, it was a matter of deciding whether we move back to New York or stay in California. We just didn't know what to do. And my wife said, Nashville. It's kind of like, why? And actually, the funny thing is, Joe Bonamassa, 2 years earlier said, hey, he's thinking about moving to Nashville. I went, why would you move to Nashville? And then I ended up buying a house here, and then he ended up buying a house after. But the reason is, realistically, my neighbor is Jack White. What's his face? Everybody lives in my neighborhood. I mean, everybody's here. There's heavy metal bands, there's rock bands, there's everything here. It's
Mainly
not
because
really
of the
country.
recording, probably, and a lot of the country music is, you listen to them, they're rock guitar solos going on, and
Oh, yeah.
they're,
It's
not
the most guitar
20.
music that there is left.
That's right. That's right.
It's like 80s kind of rock pop
Yeah.
that's going on here as country. But there's so many young bands out here that love the 70s, and they love that humble pie look, and they love all that stuff that we grew up on.
Sure.
That's the new trend that's happening again. So I get a lot of young guys coming here when they love guitars, and they'll look for something like a TV Junior or something with a broken headstock, or change parts where they can afford it. Instead of, you can buy not messed up, but an issue guitar for say $5-6 grand, or you can go buy a brand new guitar that's not going to be as good for $5 to $8 grand.
Right.
So why would you not get the old guitar, the old
Isn't
wood,
it
the old
obvious?
sound?
It's like when you could buy a Junior, of course Juniors are up now, but let's say a couple of years ago. So let's say they were $5 grand, right?
Yeah.
But the custom shop reissue was $5 grand.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Because people who don't know love to. We've gone through this in the store where we'll have a brand new or a used new Gibson or Fender, and it'll have a little scratch on it. And I mean, we're talking about like something you don't see unless you hold it in the light, and we'll ship it to them, and they'll get it and go, oh man, I can't have this guitar. It's got a scratch on it. I mean, you can't really even see a scratch. So those are the people that love the new things. Players, to me, that have shopped here or come in, or people we all know, want a good guitar. and they don't care if it's got a scratch. And if something's 50, 60, 70, 80 years old,
Yeah, they might have one.
yeah, or two, or
And they
three.
might have more if you
Right.
take it to your house. So then that brings us up to date. So here we are in your fabulous store in Nashville. And what, like, I think that you're starting to describe who your customer base is and what would be the reason for that. It's encouraging to hear young people come in and they're looking for the obvious,
Yeah.
which is a vintage guitar that's may have some issues of some type. Solid, right? It'll be solid and all
Solid,
that.
yeah.
They get the best of that stuff that we know about.
Yeah.
Is that happening here?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time I'd say, I don't even think I have an issue guitar right now because they sell so quick.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna spend 12 grand, you know, on one that's mint, if that's, you know, your thing, or if you're a player and don't really care and it's 6,500, again, the choice, a brand new one for 6,500 or a vintage one, that's gonna sound killer and play killer for the same price. You're gonna buy that.
I think he's so right about Nashville, just because this is the first time we've ever been in Nashville.
Oh, really?
And the
Okay.
way it feels, well, first time I have. Pat bought a mobile home here. It's only about 25 miles, 30 miles away.
I did.
I guess I was going to tell him later.
He lies a lot. Watch our shows,
go
and
again.
you'll see this. Is the guy? The truth. Doug's lies.
And you're his partner.
Well,
That'll work
that.
out.
Oh my!
Here we go.
A video?
Come on
Are
in.
you in the middle of a video?
Not anymore.
Were you recording?
Uncle Larry.
Were you recording?
We're recording.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I ruined everything.
No, no,
I
come on
ruined
in.
everything. Oh God. Okay.
Are the kids in the car?
Are we on video?
Yeah.
All right. Are we doing a video? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hi.
Always good to see you.
Nice to see you. What did I miss?
Well, we're
What
brilliant.
were we
Bunch
discussing?
of Nashville stuff.
We'll talk about the Nashville music scene and why Elliot came here and made it what it is today. So there was that. And then his undying service to the musicians out there, basically giving the best quality instruments for hardly anything. Is that what you found?
Well, you know, I love this story. I love that man. Thank you, man. How come you're doing a video with the door wide open, no privacy? What kind of video is
It's
this?
not my store.
Who cares? Whatever.
We're in a who cares mode,
You
right?
got to keep an eye on that
Okay,
clientele. I
okay,
guess.
all right. Well, is it always this busy on Saturday?
Yeah.
You're rocking it. Man.
It's Saturdays are always busy.
It's good.
You know, when you were talking about having your store that you had wanting to have instruments for people that, you know, like a junior with a cracked head, stock or something like that. We were talking about that with Elliot. That's part of his deal too. Which of course will make sure don't do
I mean,
anything.
I love, when I first moved here, I loved going to his store.
I had a pretty swinging little story.
It was fun.
Oh, you went to the store?
All the time. And it was
Yeah,
like,
it was fun.
hey, where can I find some
It was like
guitar?
a music store / gambling booze hall. It was fun. We were at constantly gambling in there. I'll keep talking. It was great. Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Like people were being busted and hauled out.
Really great. Yeah, it's great. He's the funnest guy to deal with. I love trading with you. Oh man, you always make it fun. It's like he just goes sticker for sticker. Like he might be asking a little tall number for a guitar, but he also gives you top sticker for your trade, and that's the way. That's fun.
We were either both miserable at the end or both
Yeah,
happy.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I always enjoy it. I mean, I don't like going in and trading with somebody who's only trying to give you half of what your shit's worth. I don't like that.
Yeah. I don't get it.
That makes you feel bad.
Well, it's
you know?
disgrace, man. It's like, and it's just not cool.
You know, and they still ask their full price, but then they want you to give it for half price. See, sticker for stickers, kind of fun.
You gotta have some sort of agreement like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like they sort of say, well, you know, this junior's going for 16 grand now. Well, where is this junior going for 16 grand?
Right, exactly.
But your junior's going for 6 grand.
Well, I always call him for prices. You notice there's a small community of dudes that check each other on prices all the time. It's like when I'm about to sell something, buy something, he's one of about 4 or 5 dudes I might go, where you at on you know, so and so.
It's a reality. It's really a reality
Yeah,
check.
it really is.
You know,
yeah.
when you look at reverb and all those
Yeah.
things, you can't get an idea.
Yeah.
The reality check is
Yeah.
us, like we're talking
Boots
about.
on the ground.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you know, like something that's been hot lately or hasn't been hot, you don't know about it until you ask one of your buddies, and that's it.
Talking about his cool
Yeah,
lead gen
that's, that's a beauty. Huh? I took my kids just now to VR for 2 hours. You know what that is?
No.
They pay $90 an hour to sit in a dark room and with these big giant headsets on and play VR and these, you know, like virtual reality.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool, yeah. It's like, it's crazy. It's like they'll have kids parties in there, like birthday parties. But instead of a kid's birthday party where kids are running around screaming, everyone's totally zoned out.
Zoned out.
And there's like cake over in the corner, nobody's even looking at it, and they're all just completely
can't
dark
see it.
in a dark room. It's so weird.
Do you ever try it?
I'd put it on for a minute. It freaks me out. But I did. Gosh, today was a big day for us at the house. We've been debating. I'm real against phones and video games for kids. I told my son he's not getting a phone until he's 30, and I said, you know, no video games or anything like that, you know. And but we had this big family meeting, and we decided that if they worked really hard to fill this big jar full of marbles with good deeds every time they do something good, that they get VR today for 2 hours, and they get an Xbox. But the only thing you can play on the Xbox is Madden football. That's it.
Cool.
No other games.
Right.
So, because I want to play that, you know, and I don't want them sitting around playing video games all day, but I want to play Madden. So yesterday we went and finally got the thing. Guess how much a full?
No clue.
Can't take a guess. Full outfit.
So what's included? You got the how much?
Damn near.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for I thought it was gonna be like $300 for it. And it was like $850 for the controllers and all that
They
stuff.
took
and then,
you, didn't they?
And then you get home and it's like trying to set the shit up. It's so complicated. And I'm so low tech, and I'm like everything's like password, sign in, password, create account, password, everything, and it's just like when we were kids, we buy a game, put a cartridge in, and start playing it.
Yeah.
Right.
This thing you got to sign your life away before you play one
It
down.
probably
You need a
needs
kid
to
to do that for
It
us.
probably needs to log on to the
It's
website or
crazy,
something too.
man.
Some sort of thing.
It's so crazy, man. Before we could play one down football, the disc that he put in had to update all night long.
Yeah. So the brand new thing you
brand
want
new
needs
thing,
updating.
Yeah, it's like. Anyway, I know that's not guitar related.
No,
But
we're
it's a
just
slice of life.
when you're in Nashville, you need to go there too. Look up Elliot if he's around.
Elliot Michael.
Elliot Michael, and he'll be glad to talk to you about stuff. And the guys that work there, the good men and women that work there, super friendly and really, really gracious. Recommended some great restaurants to us. They would know, and they did know.
Yeah.
Fabulous pad thai.
We did go to them. And,
Probably the best pad thai I've ever had until I go to Thailand, maybe
Well,
pretty soon.
it was imported to Thailand from Nashville, probably.
I think that's correct. Same with poutine.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah,
some of the comments about poutine. People just go. It was pretty obvious that Doug and Pat aren't Canadian. Well, we never claimed that we were Canadian. We'd never seen it before. We didn't know.
I thought somebody just spilled some gravy on top of the French fries that we ordered.
Didn't they?
No.
That's just what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good stuff.
And for us, a trip to Nashville and not going to see Vinni of Vpix would not be good because we're so curious about this now, which seems odd, really. Really, Doug and Pat, guitar picks, Vpix again. When we went there, we were already fans, and the reason that I'm a fan of Vpix was because that it broke me out of my locked-in thing of using one pick, and this is all my options on using picks. And it sounds funny, but you have to try it in order to really see what they do. And fortunately for us, Vinny sent us quite a few of them, different ones to try out, and I was convinced, so we went to see them. He lives on a nice piece of land with his charming wife Karen, and they have goats and chickens and
Dogs.
2 big, huge Great Dane dogs that are, God, I don't know if you guys have ever been around Great Dane dogs, but they like to lean against you, and they don't know that they're that big. They'll sit on you. They'll sit on your feet. They'll sit on you in your lap, really. So they have those.
Gentle giants. Yep.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
You know that she also had doves. That big thing of doves, and evidently they're trained to where they can let them out. They'll fly around and they'll come back. So
They are not from Nashville. They were actually where were they
in
from?
California, someplace. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think they're from Modesto. Yeah, so they were from the Valley, and they love it in Nashville. Love the weather and the whole deal. We got to spend some time playing one of Vinnie's guitars, but then we got to check out the picks and how he made them. So here's an example of one of the things that he did, which is, and Bukovac alludes to this sort of thing too, the use of the pick to change the tone and volume of the guitar. This is one of the Vpix that our name is on. It's pretty thick. It's got a nice small bevel to it, and it's not rough. So it's a smooth pick, pretty much like a Fender Heavy. So the thing with this is that you can change the characteristics of the strum and the way that it sounds, especially if you do recording, because it's a big deal. But even if not, by Bukovac's thing is by using the different edges of the pick. So instead of using the point, you'd use the side, or you would use the top. So let's see if that works out. The point, upside down. Huge difference. Now I'm going to use the corner. Point. Vinni makes a variety of picks that accomplish this without even rotating them. Here's one. This is called the medium R, and it's quite thick, and it has very smooth shoulders to it. Looks cool. If I drop this, I'll probably actually be able to find it. And the same thing where you can just strum it. The volume is less, and it's mellower.
Yep.
He's got a whole bunch of variations on these, but the most amazing one is this bad boy. This is called Insanity, and I think you're going to be able to see why. Look at that. It's very smooth on the edge, but it's real thick. And he says this pick will definitely soften up everything. When you're using it on the point, you can still hear the definition of the strum. If you use it on the fat part, literally, like, the sound of the guitar almost goes away. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a strumming technique where you're playing it hard, put it on the point. The thing you don't want to do is what I just did. Because it's like hitting it with a shingle, isn't it? He has so many different shapes and so many different things that trying them really becomes a lot of fun. We've got a bunch of them now. This is a really cool one that I've been using a lot. Not because it's sparkly like Taylor Swift would use. I know you were going to say that.
I wasn't going to say a word.
You know who doesn't use a pick like that?
Yeah.
Travis Kelce.
Oh, and I don't think the guy that should
The one that should remain is go. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that critter uses one.
No.
It's got a hole in it. I kind of like it for three reasons. I'll give you 3 reasons why I like it.
Okay.
1, it's got a hole in it. You can kind of hang on to it. 2, it's got the Taylor Swift sparkle finish on it.
Yeah.
I almost didn't even have to know the third one. Oh yeah, the third one is it sounds good. If I was going to mellow it out, if I was doing a session and they wanted the sound to be a little mellower, I'd go with that guy, which I played earlier. It's a fascinating world when you buy into it. Here's some shots of Vinny showing us his production stuff, how he makes the picks. Did he give any insights to you about things?
He did tons of stuff, but my main thing was you don't drop them.
Yeah.
You know,
And if you do, and it's red,
you can find them.
you can find it. This is clear, but if you drop it, you'll probably break your foot if you run into it. So not a problem there. So do you think if somebody wanted to go out and meet Vinny and his wife out on the little farm that they have there, maybe you could email them and do that, because they were so welcoming to us.
Yeah, welcoming, and they also knew the places to eat.
Oh,
You
they
know,
did. That
and
was funny.
I tell you what, Nashville. I've been to a lot of cities in my day.
Well, where have you been?
I want to tell you, I've been to Forest Grove, Oregon.
Forest,
I've been to
what?
Cornelius, Oregon.
Do they have forests there?
They do. They do. One, Forrest Gump. They named it after him.
Saw the movie.
But Nashville's, man, food-wise, it to me is better than Austin, Texas, or any of those places.
Now, we're not going to say that the food is not great in those places.
I
Because
am.
then-
It's not nearly as good.
My
It's not
name is
nearly as
Doug,
great.
and I'm not saying
and,
that. So all comments go.
Nashville
back.
is where it's at for food and music. So
Oh yeah. well,
if you want to get fat and blow your ears out, go to Nashville.
yeah. The other thing is, if you just want to meet a lot of really, really genuinely nice people, go to Nashville. I mean, that place was so nice.
I'm going back.
I am too. I asked Vinny at the last thing here of, how do you come up with these different designs? Where does that come from? Cause and effect, or what it was? This is what he had to say. How do you come up with the new designs for your pickup? For your picks. Yep. Like what process
Okay.
you go through?
Sometimes customers say, hey, can you make a pick like this? And I always say no, because we don't do custom picks for people. But then it might spur a little idea. Sometimes that happens, and sometimes if they're a friend like you guys, if you said, hey, I want this, I tend to do that for you. And then most of the times, though, I get up in the morning and it's there. The name of the pick is there, the shape of the pick is there, and I for some reason already know what the pick is going to sound like before I make it. That's the truth. That's the honest truth.
And so if you could just describe one pick that would be like that process. And so you woke up and you thought of a pick and it had traits to it. What would they be? Well, just use one as an example.
Okay. One of the very first picks we ever made was the Screamer.
Yeah.
That's the one that you like. Am I supposed to look there?
It doesn't matter. I'm going like that to
Oh.
show that I'm agreeing with
Okay.
you.
The Screamer.
What?
That was one of the very first ones. Somebody asked me for an acoustic guitar pick. Still living in California, and I just knew how to make an acoustic guitar pick.
And what did it look like? And
It was in my mind,
Yeah.
and I knew that I had to make the bevel like this rather than like this, because this is mid-range. This is crispness and high-end.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay. So I made a real sharp point. I made that bevel. I started way sooner into the pick because I knew what it was going to sound like. And they took me about 20 minutes a piece to make. I think I have some there. I'll send them home with you. And it has a little logo on it we talked about. And so we called it the acoustic. That's what we called it. Well, we sold it for a couple of months. I hated making them because they took so long to make. But hey, they sold, right? I was making a living. And then people started writing her, and they kept saying, "Man, this pick screams." They started playing on the electric guitar. That's what they said. "This pick screams." So I went
And we
into
heard
it
the same thing over
over and over. They kept saying that exact
It
word.
screams. There's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean?
What does that mean? These guitar lingo things, you know. But we heard the same thing over and over. So I said, you know what? We gotta call it the Screamer.
So we vote. I just said, Nancy, get on the website, please, and change that.
Change
to
the name.
Screamer. So, and it became immediately, as soon as we called it the Screamer, became our #1 pick, and that and the Tradition Light, the one that you like to play, is our #2 pick that we saw.
So that's our show on Nashville. And when we go back there, we'll probably cover a lot more music stores, a lot of music to be seen. You need to make probably reservations in advance for a lot of the places because people go there. It's not like they have places no one's there.
We did take the bus tour. We ride up on top of the buses there, and I would highly recommend that if you spend any time at all in Nashville, because it covers a lot of things and a lot of history and things that you normally wouldn't pay any attention
I
to.
recommend it no matter what city you go to get your bearings in them. You just, Nashville, of course, was great because the weather was great. But you just take the bus tour, and then you just go, okay, now we can come back to here, come back to there. Some of those bus tours, you can get off and you can explore things, but we'd definitely recommend them. Thanks again, of course, to Uncle Larry, who did a little surprise performance that we weren't expecting him, and that was really fun. Yeah, well, thanks everyone for watching. We have another show coming up that we're going to try to get out in the next month or so. I'm Doug.
And I'm Pat.
See you next time.
Bye.